Hey everyone, welcome to Bears Mill. I'm here because it is the start of maple syrup season, and so the guys, our maintenance crew, are out here prepping Bears Mill for sap collection, and we're using a different method this time, one that we are still pretty new to, and I think it's a good time to talk to our maintenance guys, especially Mike, our maintenance supervisor, about this process and what that looks like. So let's go find them up on the hill and see what they're up to. All right, everybody, we are here with our operations or maintenance supervisor, Mike Colamarino. Mike, what is going on here at Bears Mill? You guys have blue tubing all over the place, and I want to know what's going on.
So right now, we're doing some additions to our maple syrup program. So in the past, we've collected with buckets and whatnot. Maybe you've seen maple trees with big 10 buckets hanging off of them, collecting sap. We're on, you can see, a bit of a hillside here. So moving buckets on snowy, icy hills is a little treacherous. So what we're going to try to do is let the tubing do the sap movement for us, which should just make things a little safer throughout the season. And hopefully we can reach some trees that may be obscure to walk to and gather a little more sap.
All right. So in comparison to what we've done in years past, how is the tubing method different? Like, does this improve our syrup production, or does it our sap collection? Does this increase that, decrease that? What's the difference on that now?
Yeah, so with this program and with this method of collecting tubing right here, I'll show you. We can actually collect all of the sap, all the excess sap that is produced by the tree that would originally maybe overflow out of the bucket if we didn't have time to collect it during like a peak flow rate or a nice warm day where it's coming out. So
has that happened in the past?
Oh yeah. So we get calls, buckets are overflowing, and rally the troops, try to go out there and get it collected before it goes bad. So with this system, it's a contained system, keeps bugs, insects out, all the critters from getting the sap, and it all goes into one large storage tank that we can just pick up or pump out and take to the sugar shack. And it just kind of alleviates a lot of the handling and the processing. I'd say it saves us, once we get the tubes up, saves us hundreds of hours of actual labor and time. So we like that. We like to make it a little more efficient. And with this hill at Bears Mill, it's a way for us to hit this resource without pretty much straining our resources and our manpower.
Yeah, that's nice. So how many years have we done this now?
So last year was actually the first year we tried it out, because we just acquired the Bears Mill and we wanted to get some of these maple trees going to work for us. So we ran some tubing, we ran into a few issues here or there, but ultimately it ran very well, and we're just going to make small improvements this year. All right, so what we're doing now, this is our main line that we zigzag between all the trees to get to our collection point. And to tie each tree in, we actually have this neat little 3-point connection fitting that you can run a tap where you drill a hole in the tree, you insert the tap at the recommended angle, and then the sap flows down, feeds into the main line, and runs into our connection point. You do this for each tree that you're going to connect with, and it's that easy. All right, so this fancy tool, a specialty tool for maple syrup tubing lines. So what we do here, you clamp with modified vice grips each of the tubing sections that you're going to tie together. You're able to get a nice press fit with a lot of these T-fittings, which are pretty difficult to get by hand, but with this tool, it definitely makes it a lot simpler. And then so here's how we tie the anchor onto our tree. Get this tri-fitted connection, press it in, and then what we'll do, we'll come back later when the trees start flowing with sap, and we'll attach our taps into the system, and we'll be good to go.
Hey everyone, we are back at Bears Mill. It's actually been 4 or 5 days since we were here last and talked with Mike, but now they have all of the tubing set up on the hill here. So I'm gonna turn around and you're gonna see, there you go, there's all that tubing up and down the hill where they've hooked up all of the sugar maple trees on the hillside, and all of that's gonna run down to one collection point, which will be right here behind me, where all this tubing is kind of hanging out for now. Once they have gone around, they're getting ready to tap all of the trees themselves, and then they're gonna be able to cinch all the lines up to make sure they're all gonna run smoothly downhill to the one collection site. But let's go catch up with where the guys are at, and we'll see how this tapping process works. All right, we caught back up with Mike. Mike, what are you guys doing now?
So right now we're actually starting to tap the trees. So as you can see, we got most of our tubing laid out. The conditions are right. We just had a hard freeze and it's above freezing now. So that means the sap could be flowing in these trees as we speak. So we're going to start doing some test runs. I'm going to get a couple of these trees tapped, and then we'll show you what that's looking like here in a second. So hold that up. Loop around, and our end hook is going to anchor this tree. Just like that. All right, so here's an important part of the process. When you go to tap, you want to look for the best side of the tree where you would think the most sap is flowing. So normally that's where the sun shines, going to warm up the bark first. And also, if you look up the tree, if you see a large branch, you want to put the tap right below it, because you know for that branch to get that large, it got a lot of nutrients. So you know the tree would prefer to pump sap to one of its larger, healthier branches. So we're going to follow this first large branch here and just we don't have to give it a twist. We have enough tube here so that each year we can move across the tree, so that way the tree has plenty of time to heal after we make our small holes for it. So it'll heal up each year, and as long as we keep moving it, it'll assure that the bark and the cambium layer gets nice sap flow and the tree remains healthy. All right, you want a slight angle, about 45 degrees. Get started, slight angle down. And then for these particular taps, you want to go so that they seat into these barbs sticking out of the side. So these barbs will actually allow for it to get a nice tight press fit and airflow to move in so that the sap can flow down the tube easily. And then, as you can see right here, our suspicions proved to be correct. We have plenty of maple sap flowing right now out of the first hole. All right, so right here, the sap's looking a little yellow, and that is an indicator that the trees are starting to produce their buds. and it gives the maple syrup a bitter taste. So when we start to see the color change, that's telling us that the season's almost over, or at least it's over for this tree. So a good look at it, a yellowy color, and we like to test those trees because we can't use this stuff. The maple syrup that you get out of it is just not up to par. Now right here, let's see what we got. Okay, so this one's good. This tree is still dripping, so it's still producing well. And as we pour the sap in here, you can see a nice clear sap. So that's telling us that there should be a good sugar content, and this tree will last a little longer in the season. All right, so what we're doing here, this is our tube collection system. We're going to use this transfer pump to move the sap out of our large tank to our transport tank. And what that does is turns a 1 or 2 hour bucket collection process into a 15-minute pumping and leaving process. So this part's very nice. Once I get the hoses all set up and the pump moving, we'll just walk around and check all of our taps and make sure we don't have any dripping taps. If they are starting to drip, what we'll do, we'll seat the tap in a little more, and that just stops any leaks. And we'll just make sure all our lines are doing what they're supposed to do. We'll try to keep the tubes from coming out, because as you can see, there's still some dripping, so we don't want to contaminate the ends or lose any sap. We have a nice weight here to keep the hose under control, and then we set it up so that we have a low point on the tank for easy collection. So the tank is slightly tapered down toward the end that's going.
All right, now that we've finished checking all the trees, making sure all the taps are set, and we're gonna wrap up transferring our sap from one container to the next, let's head back to the Sugar Shack at Shawnee and see how the boiling process works. Okay, we are back at Shawnee Prairie. The guys are boiling in the Sugar Shack right now, so let's go pop in and see how the final step, the boiling process, works in the Sugar Shack. All right, so we caught up with Lance, the Maintenance Operations Assistant Manager. So Lance, tell us a little bit about how this boiling process works. So we obviously saw how all of the sap went into the container, and now we're at the Sugar Shack. How do we get it from the container to here?
Okay, what we do is we have a 18-volt transfer pump that takes it out of the 300-gallon tank, the portable tank. And then what we do is we pump it up into the top here, up into our 300-gallon stainless steel tank up here. And then what we do is we store that up there, and as we boil the sap down, what we do is we open this valve right here, and that valve dumps it into the warming tray. After the warming tray, then we open this valve and drops into the first tray that evaporates. And as it evaporates, it's like a mouse maze. It goes in this tray, out to that one, back over here, and then back over that one, and then to a valve over here, which takes it down into the final tray for the evaporation. This is where it starts to get close to being syrup. And as if you could tell, you can see the lighter color is here, and then as you go over to the right side, which is where the syrup comes off, that's where it starts to darken up.
What we want to do now is filter some of this. So we have these special Orlon filters, and what they do is pull the niter and any little impurities that may have gotten in the sap throughout the whole process of boiling and collecting. So the niter is the minerals that get released and hardened into the sap as it's boiled. So all those minerals that are naturally occurring in the sap that you can't see, they actually condense and harden, and then they'll start to suspend in the syrup itself. And what we'd like to do is get rid of as much of that as possible before we get it in the jar. And this is the process of doing that. We can go ahead and move a little bit into our finishing pan. What we'd like to do is get 2 gallons of this syrup filtered, and then we can put it in our finishing pan, and then it'll be ready to put in the jars.
Now this is the final step. This is where we finish boiling here. We take the sap down to about 66 to 68% sugar, and then after it boils off, then we turn around and drain it back into our containers, and this is what we sell up at the gift shop.
Alright, there she is. Once it all settles down, should be real nice and pretty.
All right, everybody, as the rain is now starting to fall, that will conclude our journey from sap to syrup. The complete journey, really, from the sugar maple all the way to the final product of your maple syrup. This maple syrup here is the stuff that we boiled this year, 2024, and it will be available in the gift shop, and it will be available starting this coming weekend, which will be the Maple Sugarin on the Prairie event. That would be March 2nd, 2024. We hope to see you guys out here. Myself, as well as the other program staff, will be leading the tours through the sugar bush or along the trail, talking about the science and history of the production of maple syrup. And the friends will also be putting on their annual waffle breakfast. So we'll hope to see you there. And again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.